Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. We're looking at that massive, often frustrating disconnect between top-level strategic oversight and what's actually happening on the ground in today's digital enterprises. If you've ever felt like your organization's documented policies don't quite match operational reality, you are absolutely not alone. Today, we're going to unpack exactly how to bridge that gap.
We've got a really clear roadmap for this explainer. We'll be covering the governance challenge, moving beyond static reporting, the DVMS overlay solution, translating data to evidence, and finally, operationalizing the whole shebang.
Section 1. The Governance Challenge, the Illusion of Control. Let's start with the immediate pain point facing leadership right now. Are we actually achieving our strategic objectives? This is the million-dollar question every C-suite executive, board member, and auditor needs to answer. And yet, most realize pretty quickly that a beautifully documented policy sitting in a binder somewhere or buried in a PDF simply does not guarantee a system is actually working. Having a control on paper and proving that control is continuously effective in the real world, yeah, those are two entirely different things.
And answering that question is incredibly difficult today, mostly because organizations rely on literally hundreds of interconnected systems to create and protect value. You've got cybersecurity platforms defending your assets, IT service management keeping things running, DevOps accelerating delivery, plus all your cloud and AI platforms. Every single one of these generates valuable data, but because this data is scattered everywhere across the enterprise, leaders are left totally in the dark about the big picture. It's like having all the pieces to a giant puzzle, but they're scattered across different tables and different rooms.
Section 2. Moving beyond static reporting, the agitation.
Because the way we try to piece that puzzle together right now is fundamentally broken, our current governance models are just outright failing. Think about the old way versus the new necessity. Traditional governance relies on looking in the rearview mirror. Weeks-old reports, manual spreadsheet assessments, things that only tell you what happened in the past. Governance by assurance, on the other hand, is about trusted evidence, continuous verification, and knowing exactly what is happening right now. In a world that depends on split-second, automated digital ecosystems, relying on a report from last quarter is, frankly, a massive risk.
So we absolutely have to move away from the assumption that documented controls are magically effective. Governance has to become a living, breathing capability that operates every single day. It needs to support your important decisions in real time, not just when the auditors happen to show up once a year.
Section 3. The DVMS overlay solution, connecting intent to reality.
Think of this solution as a massive translation engine. Down at the operational level, you have this chaotic, complex digital enterprise, all those scattered systems we talked about generating endless streams of data. At the very top, you have the stakeholders, the board, executives, auditors, who desperately need clear answers. The governance by assurance overlay bridges this exact gap. It takes that continuous, chaotic flow of operational data from the bottom and transforms it into trusted, audit-ready evidence for the top.
Now, here is a critical point for the IT leaders out there. This foundation relies entirely on your existing enterprise investments. This overlay doesn't force some painful rip and replace of the technologies you've already spent millions on. You don't need a new ITSM or a new DevOps pipeline. You literally just need a way to connect the data they're already generating into a unified governance model.
So how exactly are thousands of operational events transformed into meaningful governance evidence? Well, it happens in 4 mechanical steps. First, you align intent, so establishing what your strategic objectives and policies actually are. Second, you capture and correlate the data from all those existing systems. Third, you evaluate and verify that data against your intended objectives. And finally, you prove and assure, generating that continuous audit-ready evidence.
Section 4. From data to evidence, changing the conversation.
This requires a vital shift in perspective. A cybersecurity alert on its own, that's just operational. A DevOps deployment metric, also just operational. But when they are viewed together through this overlay, they continuously verify if leadership's strategic intent is actually being met. They transform from isolated IT metrics into a unified, undeniable answer to a governance question.
By shifting that conversation from isolated data to unified evidence, you achieve continuous verification for things like secure digital value, stakeholder trust, operational resilience, and regulatory compliance. And honestly, the best part? It generates this audit-ready evidence as a byproduct of normal business operations. It completely eliminates that frantic, chaotic, end-of-year scramble to gather evidence for the auditors. The evidence is just there, continuously updating in the background.
Section 5. Operationalizing real-time governance beyond the frameworks.
Take the NIST Cybersecurity Framework as a prime example. It's a fantastic framework, but how do you prove you're actually meeting it every single day? Instead of just demonstrating that your NIST controls have been implemented on paper for a one-time assessment, this overlay continuously proves that those functions govern, identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover are actually protecting digital value and supporting business resilience in real time. It truly operationalizes the framework.
Ultimately, as digital ecosystems become more automated, more interconnected, and incredibly AI-dependent, relying on historical information is simply no longer an option. The future of governance isn't about churning out more compliance reports. It's defined strictly by the ability to continuously know and prove your digital value.
So I want to leave you with a provocative thought to consider regarding your own organization's readiness. If an auditor or a board member walked in right now, today, could you continuously prove your enterprise is delivering digital value exactly as leadership intended? Basically, are you governing by hope, hoping those documented controls are working, or are you governing by assurance? Thanks for joining me for this explainer. I really encourage you to look at your own operational data and ask how you can start turning it into trusted evidence today.